Good morning, everyone, and good evening to our speaker. My name is Joe Grabowski, and welcome to another Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants Hangout. I'm very excited for everybody who's joining in today because we're trying something a little bit new over the next week. So our guest who's joining us is Greg Nance. He's joining us from Shanghai today. He's about to embark on a grueling 100-kilometer race through the mountainous jungle terrain of Vietnam. But what we're going to do is connect with him today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about who he is and how he plans for an amazing feat of endurance like this. Then we're going to connect with him on the 22nd from Vietnam, right before the race starts. And then we're going to try a few on-call connections as he stops at different rest stops along the way. Now, this is made possible by a technology called a BGAN unit. It's about the size of a textbook, connected to a cell phone or a computer, and you can video broadcast from pretty much anywhere on the planet. So, without any further ado, I'm going to get to our guest, Greg. Greg and I met in June at National Geographic headquarters, and he told me about this amazing race coming up, and we schemed this plan to get some students involved and share his adventures, his love for the outdoors, and hopefully he can get a little bit of that passion going for some of our classrooms in Canada and the US today. So Greg, thank you for joining us. I know it's getting late over there.
Thank you for the introduction, and thanks to each of you for being here. I'm extremely excited to have the chance to share a little bit about what I'm up to and hopefully share a little bit of my excitement and passion for the great outdoors. As Joe mentioned, my name is Greg Nance. I come from Seattle, USA, which is a totally beautiful place with big mountains, big forest, the ocean's right there, incredible place to grow up. And so I've loved the outdoors since I can remember. And all of my life, I've been looking for ways to get outside, enjoy it, experience it, and then share with others as I go as well. And so yeah, really excited to share a little bit about what's next. So I grew up swimming and climbing mountains and running, and I still try to do each of those things. My favorite adventures include climbing Mont Blanc, the biggest mountain in Europe. I did that actually by myself about 5 years ago. Amazing adventure. One of my favorite swims is actually crossing the Nile River in Egypt. It was just an amazing experience to do that and then run around the pyramids on the same day. And my favorite run so far was a 250-kilometer, 155-mile run through the Gobi Desert in northwest China. I'm actually living in China now. I live in Shanghai, which is one of the biggest cities in the world. 25 million people, one city. Crazy. And I'm finding a way to both work here and also train here. That said, I miss the great outdoors, and that's part of why I'm so excited about running and sharing with you my next adventure. I call it Rumble in the Jungle, and I want to share a few photographs of what I'll be up to, and I want to share a little bit about how I'm going to make it happen, and try to share a little bit about how you can make big goals in your life happen too. I hope that sounds like a good plan.
Sounds good to me. Let's just before you do start off, let's turn on some classroom mics and let them say good morning to you. Well, I guess good evening. So here we go. Classroom mics coming on, guys. Here we go. Wow. You have a great group hanging out with us today.
Amazing. Good morning to each of you. So I'm on the other side of the world here in China. It's already Wednesday morning. It's just after midnight. So it's 15 hours ahead of the East Coast, of the West Coast, 12 hours ahead of the East Coast. So good morning to each of you, and thank you for the warm welcome. I'm going to dive in, and I want to show you a couple amazing things right here. I'm going to share my screen so that each of you can see this handy presentation I made. Awesome. Here we go. Alrighty, can each of you see the screen here?
Looks good.
Awesome. So I call this adventure Rumble in the Jungle. And my presentation today is all about how we can make dreams come true in our life. Because one of my big dreams is to adventure and explore as much as I can. I'm going to be flying to this place tomorrow night. This is called Sapa in northern Vietnam. Sapa is an incredibly enchanting land with huge hills with tea plantations built into the side of these hills. It's jungle. It's really dense foliage, dense forest in the tropics, big rivers, big streams, tons of wildlife, and really interesting people too. Dozens, even hundreds of tribal community-oriented peoples with traditional lifestyles that speak different languages, that have a different way of life than you or me might be used to. It's pretty amazing. Here are two children playing above the family tea plantation. Pretty amazing. There is incredible landscapes that the people have learned to live off of as they go. And it's a really fascinating area whereby traditional lifestyle meets modern lifestyle. And that's one reason why I'm so excited to go, to see both very traditional and also very modern, and how they interact with one another, where the past meets the present, present, and future all come together. And of course, incredible landscapes. The sunrise and sunset here in Sapa are supposed to be just absolutely incredible as the sun pours over these amazing rivers, these valleys, these tea fields and plantation, these amazing hills as we go. The landscapes here just look incredible, and I'm so excited to have the chance to actually run through these landscapes. I'm going to be doing a 100-kilometer, 62-mile run where I have the chance to actually experience this and to share it with you through the BGAN technology. Absolutely amazing. We're going to actually have an internet connection in the middle of the jungle. Show you both live video feed along with these beautiful photographs as well. Both sunrise and sunset, it is amazing. The entire community, the way of life shifts as night comes, and so does the wildlife itself. Many critters like bats, like insects, like spiders come out at night. And so as we run, we cannot finish a 100-kilometer run all within one daylight cycle. And so we must run through the night as well. And so here in sunset, the land will change. And we'll actually have a different style of running to match the different style of wildlife and people's lives there as well. Here is a map of what we're actually going to do. So we're going to go to a place called the Topaz Eco Lodge, which is at 980 meters elevation. That's about 3,000 feet. And it's the one little community within this big valley. And as you can see, if you look closely, this blue line, it's the course route. So that actually is 100 kilometers all told, 62 miles. And we're going to do a big lap over this mountain range, through this valley, over all of these rolling hills, across rivers, across streams. And it's going to be really tough, but really beautiful as well. And luckily, we actually start and finish in the same place, which is really nice, because that way you can leave some of your gear and materials there as well. And I'll share a little bit about what I'm taking with me here in a few minutes. But it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be a great chance to explore more wildlife and more nature there in the valley. As I mentioned, there are a lot of hills. Take a look. This is what we call a topographical chart, an elevation chart. So this race is called the Vietnam Marathon, and it's a 100-kilometer ultramarathon. If you look on the far left, that is our start, just under 1,000 meters, and then lots of up and down. Luckily, to start, we actually go downhill, so you can kind of relax a little bit, but then just as quickly, you've got to go back up. And so whenever you're running and you're going downhill, you know there's going to be an uphill. And here on this course, at the 34-kilometer mark, that is the third checkpoint. Yeah, isn't that crazy? It is. It's so hilly, and it's going to be really tough. So as a runner, when I look at this, I know from
so you're unmuted right now. No, but what is all
27 all the way to 60, it's going to be really especially tough. And so that, as a runner, you have to prepare for that and get yourself prepared for that challenge. You know that's going to be a really tough one. You'll go all the way through here, all the way to the 100-kilometer where it will actually finish. And luckily, the last 5 and 8 kilometers are mainly downhill. The very end and the very beginning are pretty easy, but I think the rest of it is going to be pretty tough. There are big obstacles. here are 5 of the biggest in my view. The first is that we actually have to cover the distance, 100 kilometers, 62 miles, jungle terrain. That means you have not only all these big trees, but you have roots, you have rocks, you have streams and rivers. It's little critters. You have bats that will buzz around your ears, and then spiders as well. When I've done a few of these jungle runs, the worst thing when it's the middle of the night and you feel a spider crawling on you. The worst. It makes me feel, I can feel my goosebumps right now just thinking about that. No fun, those spiders. Because actually, we do a lot of this run in the dark. The race starts at 10 p.m., 2200. So it's pitch black, and you don't get to sleep that night. You have to sleep before then if you want to rest at all. And it's not advisable. It's not very smart to sleep in the middle of the jungle because there are poisonous animals and little insects and things. You don't want that crawling on you. So it's best to keep running, to keep moving. That means you're going to be running in the dark. Big obstacle. There will be rainstorms. So in the tropics, there's a ton of rain. My last race I did back in May was in the Philippines. And that one was 162 kilometers, 100 miles. It rained for 8 straight hours. So tough because we're up in the mountains in the Philippines and it just rains and rains and rains and rains. You get really cold and you get super wet and uncomfortable. Oh man, it's tough. So I expect more rainstorms during this run as well. Fourth, there's lots and lots of heat and humidity. So once the sun comes back, it will become above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, above 38 degrees Celsius, sometimes even hotter than that. But I expect at least this warm as we go. I am from Seattle. We never have heat above 100 degrees or 38 degrees. So it will be sticky and uncomfortable, and you lose a lot of water from sweating. You get dehydrated. Ooh, big challenge. The last, and actually the hardest thing for me, are the hills. We will gain a cumulative 4,300 meters of hills, 14,100 feet. Oh my goodness. So a lot of climbing, as I showed you here just a second ago. There's a ton of climbing. And so you've got to get your legs ready and got to get your mind ready as you go. So how do you deal with these big obstacles? Well, you have to remember why. Why are you actually going out there? And here are the 5 key things for me. Number 1, I love nature. I love getting outdoors. So I like to experience that and really get outside. It's tons of fun for me. Second, I love to travel and I like to learn about different cultures and connect with just amazing people from totally different cultures than maybe I'm used to growing up in Seattle. You also can build really incredible friendships when you're outside. I've made some of my best friends from running, some of my best friends from these adventures. I also love working hard on a really, really big goal. It's fun, it's satisfying to make progress on a big goal and go out and do it. And then last, I love to find my limit and then push past it because I don't think possible. You can actually push past anything if your mind is right and if you're fully prepared. And that's part of why I do this. That's part of why I run 100 kilometers, because I want to push past my limit. And I think it's really exciting to work with friends to push past our limits together. But to make any of this possible, we have to do it in the right way to stay safe and to do it in a way in which we can make sure that we are successful. And the way we do this is by setting SMART goals. SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. So SMART goals are all about zooming in and figuring out a goal that's worthwhile and then setting the goal in the right way. So for me, my big goal is to be able to run 100 kilometers through the Vietnam jungle on September 22nd. It's specific. I know exactly what I'm aiming to do. It's measurable. It's actionable. It's realistic only because I've been training really, really hard. And it's also time bound. I know exactly when I'm doing that. And so for each of us, if we have a big idea in our mind, we need to get smart and set the kind of goals that actually help us take one step at a time to reach that big goal. So think about how you can be specific in your goals, come up with a way that we can measure and be actionable, and then set goals that are going to challenge us, but that we can actually achieve, and then with a time bound as well. So in my case, here's how I'm actually approaching this. So how do you train? So the first big challenge I mentioned is there's a lot of jungle. It's tough jungle to train. Well, I do a lot of off road trail running. So I try to get off concrete whenever I can and actually practice what it's like to run on a trail and run out in the jungle. I try to do this at least a few weeks each year. Go out and actually experience a jungle. Go out and experience a dense forest like what we have back in Seattle to get real practice on the trails. We also have to remember we're going to be running in the dark. I call it morning madness. So my daily routine, I get up early actually. I get up at about 4 a.m. for a lot of my training. And that way I get used to running in the dark. I get used to running when I'm feeling quite tired. And that helps me to adjust and get ready for the big challenge. As I mentioned, there's a lot of rain when you're running in the jungle. And so you want to practice that. I call it the rain dance. So my coach, he gives me a workout whenever I hear it raining. When I'm getting ready for bed or when I'm just waking up, the rule is I have to go put on my shoes. I lace up my shoes and then I run outside. And actually I go for a jog and I aim for 2 full hours while the rain's coming down to get my mind around this, to get my body used to it so that I'm ready when the tropical rainstorm comes. I've been doing a rain dance. I'm prepared for it. There's also a lot of heat. I call it heat wave. And this is a style of workout where I literally go inside a sauna at the gymnasium and I will do push-ups, I will do dips, I'll do some sit-ups, I'll do some lunges and some squats. Those are all workouts that you do to get stronger. And that I do it in the sauna because it simulates what it's like to be super, super hot and very, very humid. That helps me to get stronger in the heat because again, being from Seattle, I'm not used to the heat at all. And so this is one of the hardest parts about these runs. So I train that with the heat wave. I also got to train the hills. So for me, I work on the 15th floor of an office building here in Shanghai, and I live on the 5th floor of an apartment in Shanghai. And so I aim to get 75 full daily stair flights. That means I never take the elevator. Whenever I can help it, I walk the stairs all the way up to the 15th floor. When I go down for a meal or a snack, I walk back up, I walk down and back up, and it helps me build my muscles for those hills. Shanghai is actually a very flat city. There are no real natural hills. So I do something a little crazy. Late at night or early in the morning when I'm training, I'll actually go inside a parking garage where you park the car, where your parents park the car. And I'll wait until there's no cars, I'll make sure it's safe, and then I'll actually sprint all the way from the bottom of the parking garage all the way to the top, and then run back down, and then do it again and again and again, just to get more practice on hills. Because anything you need to do for that big challenge, you want to have had practice doing it as well. So what do you bring to the jungle? What am I going to be bringing tomorrow night? So actually, I want to show you what I'll be bringing tomorrow night. Awesome. So when you're out in the jungle, you actually have, you need to bring all of the gear with you. And when you run 100 kilometers, you actually need to bring a bag. So this is called a rucksack. And I'm gonna actually have this on my back. It's just like your backpack in school, only I'm gonna run 100 kilometers with this backpack. And it actually fits all of my stuff right here inside it. Let me show you what I'm actually going to put inside. So, for example, I'm going to wear a long sleeve shirt, just like this. This is a long sleeve shirt, and it actually is really amazing because it keeps me cool. So when the sun is coming down, it keeps me in the shade. It protects me, and it actually takes my sweat, and it helps dry me much, much faster to keep me cool as we go. I also feel inspired. I run with the American flag on my shoulder. It makes me feel inspired as I'm going. And so I'll keep one shirt on me, and then I'll keep another shirt in my rucksack. So that way if I need to change, I can do it easily, no problem. I'll also keep a short sleeve t-shirt. And so when I'm in the dense part of the jungle, I'll want to make sure that I have a second shirt that's shorter. So that way if the sun's not an issue, I can use that too. I'll also be wearing my favorite cap. I love the Seattle Seahawks football team, so I'll be running in this very hat, my Seahawks hat. That helps keep you cool when you're out in the jungle, and it also keeps you from sweat getting in your eyes. There's nothing worse than when you're running, my eyes. You'll get sweat in your eyes, so it's good to have a hat in my view. You'll definitely want a hat too. on my feet. So the most important thing is you actually want good special shoes. So these shoes, if you look really closely, wow, what are those? These are actually little cleats that I'll be wearing that help me climb big hills. And if it's muddy, if it's wet, I'll have lots and lots of traction in these. These are actually super light. It's called Pure Grit 5. And oh my goodness, these shoes are awesome. So I train with these shoes on trail, but it actually is different than the shoes I wear to the gym or on the street. This is a different shoe that I use for most of my training. There's no cleats here, so it's not as good for the jungle, but it's really fast for pavement. So you can tell if you look closely, these are actually different style of shoes. And you'll want one fast one for pavement for the gym, and then one fast one for trails, for outdoors. And so you'll have different footwear depending on the kind of race you're doing. In Vietnam, I definitely want this. This is gonna be really, really helpful as I go. Additionally, your legs get really tired during these runs. And so I'll wear what's called a compression sleeve. And this is like a sleeve, but for my legs. And I'll use that to keep my muscles nice and warm and keep more blood moving there. This is one thing that I've only started doing in the last couple of years. Makes a big difference. Keeps me much, much stronger as I go. I mentioned I'm a big Seattle Seahawks fan. So above those, I have my Lucky socks. So I'll be wearing my Lucky Seahawks socks. These go everywhere with me. And so whenever I have a big challenge, I'm sure to wear those. Additionally, I'm also going to use these. It's called a trekking pole. So actually, I'll show you. This is going to be really, really helpful when I'm out in the jungle. So you're climbing a big hill, and oh man, it's going to be really, really steep. But actually, if you have this pole right here, you can actually use this for your arms. And that way you can actually dig in, and you can actually use both of these to climb more effectively as you're actually going up a really, really steep hill. Especially if it's raining and muddy, you want to use your arms as much as you can. Because after running 100 kilometers, your legs are so tired. Your arms still have strength. And so I'll carry these in my bag, my rucksack here, and that will help me go much, much farther, much faster. So you actually keep it compressed like this, and then once you're ready to use it, you can extend it like I just did. And that will make it much more useful as you go. So I mentioned you're gonna run in the dark. Well, how do you do that? Isn't it dangerous? Well, kind of, but you make it less dangerous with what's called a headlamp. So this is actually a lamp, and you actually can press it, and it's a flashlight that you wear on your head. It's really, really great. I just bought new batteries today, and I'm gonna put those in immediately after so that this light can help me see the ground, because it's too dangerous to run in the dark. It's no fun. When you turn on your light, you see a lot of insects all around you. I don't like insects very much, so when I see a bunch of insects, no fun. You'll also hear bats and other little birds that are following you for mile after mile after mile. Eventually you get used to it, but the first 1 hour, 2 hours, definitely a little scary when you first get going. You feel like you're being watched by a lot of little animals that are following you. You also can take what's called a drop bag. So I'm gonna use this orange bag. It's waterproof, and I'm gonna put in some of my supplies, like food, which I'll show you in a second, into this bag. And halfway through the race, I actually will run, and this bag will be waiting on me. So then I can go eat, and I can get more energy, more fuel for myself as we go. So what do you eat on one of these runs? Well, let me show you. So I eat lots of stuff because you need energy when you run. One of my favorites, I like eating chocolate fruit. So actually this is raisin with chocolate over it. It's a little sweet and a little salty, and when you're really, really tired, it feels really, really good. I also eat nutrition bars. One of this is chocolate, one of these is strawberry. Two of my favorite flavors. I'll eat a lot of these because you're burning so much energy, so many calories. You need to replace it as you go. And I do that with this, with little energy bars. I also fuel up when you sweat a lot, you need to replace the sodium in your body. And so I use sodium tablets where you pour it into water, and then all of a sudden you feel much, much better. Well, water, where do I get the water? I will cross a couple rivers and a couple streams. but actually it's not safe to drink water in most parts because as you drink water that you're not used to, it can make you very sick, and it's not fun to get sick. So I'll be using what's called a water bladder, a camelback. So this is actually about 1.5 liters full of water in this, and I'll actually carry it in my bag with me, and it's really fun. So you have a little hose here, a little nozzle, and very good. So when you're thirsty, you actually use this, and you actually run with it on your back as you go. Much safer, way safer than drinking out of the river. I've had to do that before, and I didn't feel very good. So I don't recommend that when you're outdoors, unless you know for sure the water is pure, try to pack your own, and you can do it with this. This will actually be enough water for probably about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours out there. Very, very good. So you stay healthier when you stay hydrated. But I'm not just healthy. So I actually have a couple snacks.
It's 0:30.
I have a couple snacks that I really like too. So for instance, I love peanut butter, and it's one thing that it gives me a lot of energy. And so I'll put this inside my drop bag at the halfway point. I also like cranberries to give myself more energy. I'll put that in for the drop bag as well. The thing that's least healthy, but when I'm late in a race, I'll just be craving, will actually be Doritos. Who here has had Doritos before? So Doritos are like my favorite snack. And so when I'm really hungry, I'll actually eat Doritos out there. I don't carry the full bag. What I'll do is actually, I'll get a handful and I'll put it in a Ziploc bag like this. And then actually, I'm gonna crush it. I crush it to save space. So check this out. So I crush it, and all of a sudden it takes up a lot less space. So I can put all of these Doritos into this bag, and then I'll crush it so it saves a lot of space, because my rucksack, it's limited. I don't actually have that much space, and so I need to be careful what I pack. And so as a runner or as a climber, you always want to be conserve as much space as you can. I'm also going to have a lot of fruit juice. So this is my favorite. It's a strawberry apple combination. And so you twist off the pouch, and then very good. The first one is delicious. By number 10 or number 12, I'll be sick of the flavor, but the first one is good. So as you're out there, you've got to carry everything on your back. So you need to pick the foods that you're really going to need, and you definitely want enough energy. I've done this before where I ran out of food, and it was terrible. I had to keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm so hungry. I'm so tired. I haven't slept. No fun at all. And so one of the biggest things is keeping enough energy with you. And that's advice I have for any of us going out to have fun in the outdoors. Bring snacks, bring things that make you feel more comfortable so you really enjoy your time. Because it's not fun running out of food or running out of water and then being really, really uncomfortable as you go. So highly recommend that you have that chance. So I'm going to be running 100 kilometers, and it's going to be amazing. If I'm able to finish, and that's my goal, my aim, I will have the chance for one of these little trophies. So in May, I ran 100 miles, and I got this little belt buckle, little trophy. I've done other races. In Singapore, I ran 100 kilometers. I got one of these little buckles. I ran 250 kilometers through the Gobi, and I got this cool Great Wall medallion for that. It's one of my favorites. I also ran 200 kilometers in Malaysia and got both this little buckle and this little miniature trophy, because I got 7th place in that race. That said, the race is it's never been about the trophy for me. It's all about the adventure and having fun, enjoying the outdoors, making new friends, and exploring. Because I think it's a lot of fun. Just get outside and see more of the world. I know many of us are coming from North America and other parts of the world. Well, it's amazing to get outside and see a different part. We all have nature close by. We all have the outdoors close by. And so we all can get outside. We can all go for a walk in the park, find a forest, find a trail, and just go get lost, go explore as we go. And I think that's what each of us can do to become one step closer to the adventure goals that we have. And each of us can be an explorer in our own town, in our own community, and can really make the most of the situation we're in to build our experience for adventures on the next level. When I was a student, I always dreamed of big adventure, And so I started in my backyard by walking around, learning more about my forest, by going swimming outside, and by starting to run on trails. And now years later, that's how I've become an adventurer. That's how I go about exploring. And it's possible for each of us. We just have to make it a priority and try little by little to get a little bit more experience and to have fun while doing it. I like to say, follow your smile. Go out and have fun. Do the things that you most enjoy, and over time, you'll have a big smile as you go about your adventure and your exploration. I'm very, very happy to share with each of you here today, and I'd be honored and delighted to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
All right, Greg. Well, thank you so much. It is quite an undertaking you've got ahead of you, but with the goals you set and your motivation and your determination, I have no doubt, and I'm sure the students have no doubt, that you're going to accomplish your goals. And thank you for sharing some of the process with the students. And I think that message of getting outside and doing what you love and following your smile is so important. So thank you for everything you shared today. I can see classrooms going crazy, waving their hands, so they're pretty excited. All right. Well, why don't we meet some of those classrooms? We have a big group today, so I'll start off. We'll go to each classroom. They can ask one question, and then we'll open it up. And when I see people at camera after that, we'll let them jump in for more questions. So here we go. Our first group is joining us from Thunder Bay, Canada. They're a grade 4 classroom, Mrs. Barch's class. Let me turn your microphone on. There we go.
Yes, I want. So introduce yourself, Rudy.
Hi, I'm Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
Hi. How many people are in the race?
Good question, Rudy. There are 110 people in the race.
Have you ever done an Ironman?
No, I haven't. I'm not a very good swimmer or bicyclist, so I stick to running for now.
All right, Thunder Bay, thank you for the questions. We will definitely visit your classroom again. Our next group is Mrs. Lefebvre's group. They are in Renfrew, Ontario, grade 5-6 class, and you'll have to turn the mic on for me because it's just out of my reach.
Yep, it's on. Anyone have a question?
Hi.
Say hi, my name is Jason.
Hi, my name is JC.
Hi, Jesse.
How many races have you been in?
I think, good question, thank you. I think this is ultra marathon number 10, and I've done, I think, 7 or 8 26-mile marathons, and then dozens of like 400-meter, 5K runs. So I've done a bunch now, but I've slowly been doing longer races because I most enjoy that. So I think this is number 10 for ultra marathon.
All right, great question. Mrs. Hawkino's class is joining us from Sayreville, New Jersey, grade 6 classroom. Let me turn your mic on for you. There you go.
Hi, my name is Mason, and I was wondering, do you know how many, what the percentage of people finish? Like, what percentage is it?
Yeah, good question, Mason. So it's going to depend a lot on the course and the kind of weather we have, because basically, if it's really, really hot or if it rains a lot, it gets harder and harder to actually do the race. So last year, I think about 3/4 of people ended up finishing. Although I've also done races where it was super hot. It was like 115 degrees, like 45 or so Celsius. And so less than 1/3 of people finish. And so I remember I finished that day and I just felt proud I made it because everyone was so tired and so hot. So I'm hoping for a cool day so that more of us can finish, but you never know in these things.
All right, good question. Let's see. Mr. Flanagan's class. They're a grade 8 classroom in Kitchener, Ontario. Let me turn your microphone on for you. There we go. There we go.
Hi, my name's Nicole.
Yes.
Out of everything you've done in life, what are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? I'm most proud of the work I've done as a volunteer teacher. So I volunteered as a university student to teach about financial capability, like how to set goals for paying for university. because in the USA, it's very expensive to attend university. And that work, I learned a ton. I learned more than I taught for sure, but I think I also helped a few people, and those people are now helping other people. And so real sense of accomplishment with the work that we did with the group called Money Think. So that's my proudest accomplishment.
All right. Let's see. There we go. Mrs. Hoekstra's classroom in Guelph, Ontario. Grade 8 classroom. And your microphone should be on.
My name is Hanzo. And have you been in the Olympics? If not, do you want to be in the Olympics?
Oh man, I would love to be in the Olympics. So I have not been in the Olympics. I need to be much, much faster. So I've looked at the times, and for marathon, you need to run like a 2-hour, 15-minute marathon. And for me, my best, much, much slower. So I'm barely below 3 hours. I need to get much faster. So that is a goal, although I got to train a lot harder.
All right. Well, it's always good to have something to work towards.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Sioux Falls. We have Mr. Plan's class. They're a grade 4 classroom, and I believe they just got back from gym. So let me turn their microphone on.
Hi, guys.
There they are.
A goal for how many races you want to complete?
Hey guys.
Can you go one more time? I think Greg missed the question.
Do you have a goal for how many you want to complete?
Ooh, it cut out a little bit there for me. Do you mind saying that one more time for me?
Do you want to have a goal? Wait. Do you have a goal? Do you have a goal for how many races you want to complete?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so oh, thank you. Great. Thanks, Brent. I do have a goal. So right now I'm slowly ramping up. I'm getting better and stronger. And so I'm aiming to do 3 races per year now. When I started, I basically did 1 per year because I was still learning how to do all of it. So I'm slowly building up. I'd like to get to be able to do maybe 5 or 6 each year once I'm more experienced. I do this, over a long period of time. And so maybe 100 would be a good kind of lifetime goal. Although for now, I'm kind of keeping it in a shorter time frame. So like 3 per year is kind of the current aim.
All right. And our final classroom in Deseronto, Ontario, we have grade 5-6, Mr. Lloyd's group. Let me turn your microphone on for you.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
My name's Aisley, and do you have a timeline, like how many days you want to finish the 100K in?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to do it. If you're really quick, you can do it in as fast as maybe like 14 or 15 hours. I think I'll be a little bit slower than that, in part because of this. And I'm really, really excited actually because I'm going to get to share more with you from out on the course. So I'm going to finish it within 1 day. That's my goal. And I want to basically share more about what I'm seeing and experiencing so that you can see it yourself. Because I know the photos were probably pretty cool, because I think so. But I think actually seeing the videos can be much, much more amazing. So maybe 18 hours if I'm moving quickly. And then maybe a little bit slower if it's really hot or if it's raining. And then faster if we have perfect weather. Although I never count on perfect because it usually isn't.
All right. Well, thank you for saving space in your rucksack for the BGAN unit. I'm really excited to see what we can do. In fact, I've got a matching one right here. So we've
awesome.
That one's heading out this week to Tahiti. We're going to try and do some shark tagging in the field. So that should be pretty cool.
Amazing.
All right. And we do have an 8th class. I thought that they had dropped out, but it looks like they're still here, nice and loud. So Mrs. Walker's class, grade 8 in Guelph, Ontario. You guys have the floor.
I'm not sure where I am.
Go to the computer player.
Hi. Oh, yeah. Hi, my name's Claire. Experience is key during your run.
Claire, one more time. What do I keep on the run?
Do you feel perseverance is key during your run?
100%. So the key, it's not talent, and it's not even maybe how well you've trained, it's how strong you can keep your mind, because your body, you will be so tired and you'll definitely become slightly injured in some way. For me, I will show you, Claire. So actually my ankle, if you look closely, actually I have a wrap on my ankle because a man on a bicycle ended up hitting, he hits me yesterday. So my ankle already hurts. I haven't even started the race. And so yes, perseverance, extremely important. If you want to finish, you got to have perseverance. And that's true of any goal, because nothing goes to plan. Things are hard. Things are difficult. It's all about if you can keep pushing, keep going, keep moving forward. That is what I think helps create success and helps you feel a sense of satisfaction no matter what your goal is. But definitely in ultra marathon running, persistence and perseverance, 100% the key.
All right. So Greg, I think we have a few more minutes. I'm going to open it up to the classrooms, and if they send someone up to the camera so I can see them nice and close, I'll know to pick that class because they have another question. So let's see. I think I see someone nice and close to Mr. Flanagan's class. Am I right? Am I right? Phone's on. Phone's on.
I guess.
Hi, my name's Carolina. Do you ever doubt your ability to meet your goals, and how do you handle that?
Carolina, great question. The one challenge when you set a really big goal is you will definitely feel self-doubt. I ask myself all the time, Greg, are you crazy? Like, what are you trying to do here? Wow. And part of the biggest difficulty is trying to get that voice out of your mind, because that voice will stop you from going for your biggest goals, and it will stop you from actually accomplishing your biggest goals. And so I think that's one skill that with more experience, all of us can get better at. So yes, I definitely feel a little bit of self-doubt, and I feel butterflies. I feel nervousness and anxiousness. But I find if you just go for it, don't give your fear any time at all to get stronger. Just sign up, commit to going for it, start training, get to that start line, and then just start moving. You can overcome any fear, any anxiety, any doubt with one step in front of the next, over and over and over.
That's such a great question. That's such a good point. So many people get bogged down by doubt and fear and can I do it? And those who are successful are the ones who can ignore that and go ahead and do it anyways. That's awesome. Just getting a thank you from Sioux Falls. I think they have to duck out. They're looking forward to the check-ins, but let me turn their mic on so they can say bye.
Quick.
Bye. All right. See you, Sioux Falls.
Have a great lunch.
I can see someone in Mrs. LaFay's classroom right up at the camera, so go on ahead.
When was your first? Oh, wait till I miss it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Becca. When was your first race?
Hi, Becca. I did a couple like fun races, like sort of a 1 mile style when I was, maybe in middle school, like 6th grade, 7th grade. I started running competitively when I was a senior in high school, grade 12. And that was great because I enjoyed training and then going through it. My first marathon when I was 21 years old, during university. And then first ultra marathon when I was 23 years old. So basically, I love running, and I realized it relatively early, but it's only recently that I've started doing longer and longer runs. So for each of you, you have so much opportunity and potential. You have to follow your smile, find out what it is that you really like to do. I love running, but running is actually not for everyone. Not everyone loves running, but find what it is that you love to do and get started. And actually, the more you do it, the more possibility there really is.
All right. So I can see that there are more questions, and I will get to each classroom one more time, I promise. And then we'll let Greg get some rest because he's got a big day tomorrow. Mrs. Barch, your microphone is on.
Hi, my name is Sydney.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi. My question is, what's your favorite place you've been for your run?
So my favorite place is for a run was in actually Jerusalem in Israel. Old city wall there, absolutely amazing. Just like such a peaceful, wonderful, beautiful place. Very hilly, ancient architecture and buildings. Totally amazing, and it was just a really profound experience for me. I love that. As far as races go, that was just a fun run that I did. But as far as races go, the Gobi Desert, which is the one of the windiest and driest deserts on the planet. It's huge. Northern China, Mongolia. That was amazing because I've learned a lot about the history of the Gobi Desert. And just being there and experiencing it was amazing landscapes, amazing people, and it felt really, really incredible to be there. So the Gobi Desert would be my answer for favorite race. Thank you.
All right, great question. Mrs. Hoekstra's class, do you guys have another question? I think I saw you with a question card up at the screen.
Yeah.
We do.
My name is Josiah, and my question is, do you have like some sort of personal trainer?
Josiah, great question. So when I first started running, I had a coach because I was in school, but then I got out of school and I did it by myself. But actually, that's not the best way. I now have a coach. He's actually a wonderful Canadian adventurer named Ray Zahab. And his background is just absolutely incredible. He's the first person to run across the entire Sahara Desert from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Red Sea. And that's over 4,000 miles, like 6,000 kilometers. So incredible experience and background. And he helps me plan my workouts, helps me plan my training, plan my nutrition, even puts up with some of this stuff, the Doritos. But so having a coach, it makes a big difference because it's continued inspiration and accountability so that I'm always on track. And so Josiah and others, find a coach, find a mentor, someone that can guide you and help inspire you, and you'll go a lot farther and a lot faster. You'll have more confidence when someone believes in you and is pushing you forward.
All right, sounds like you can't get much more experience than that, running across the Sahara.
Yeah, incredible, seriously.
Mr. Lloyd's classroom, you guys have one more?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Joey, and how many marathons do you plan on finishing before you have to stop doing marathons?
Yeah, great question. So I hope a lot. So I would say 100 plus. The big numbers inspire me as much as planning out the next one. And that's my advice for people setting goals is maybe you have a big vision, but focus on your next one. And so for me, that's kind of my mentality. So eventually I want to run a bunch, although I actually want to teach my children and hopefully grandchildren someday about running. And so I want to stay healthy. And that's part of why I'm taking it slower than some others, just doing 2 or 3 per year so that my body gets stronger and I don't hurt myself too much as I go. But yeah, thank you for your question.
All right, Mrs. Walker's class. If you guys can turn your mic on for me, go ahead. No, we can't hear you. You got to turn it on for us, the microphone. It's just off my screen. There we go.
Hi, I'm Leela. I'm Caitlin. And we are wondering, when you encounter dangerous animals on your run, what do you do?
Yeah, luckily, not super often. I'll tell you a very quick story to give you an example. I was in the Gobi Desert, and it's a very long race, so you actually sleep in between your runs. And on the last day, I've been out there for many days, very long race. I'm growing a little bit of a beard after being out there a long time. And my friend is waking me up. He's waking me up at like 4 in the morning. It's still dark outside. I say, hey, knock it off, man. Like, I'm trying to sleep. But actually, it wasn't my friend pulling on my beard. It was actually a big spider that was on my chin. Oh, I hate spiders. Oh, the worst. So what do? Well, I smack it. I hit it because I'm frightened by this thing. It basically I see it scurry off, and I'm too weak because I'm so tired from running so much to go get it, to go smash it. And so basically, if you're being attacked or if it's a conflicted situation, you want to do your best to protect yourself. You know, knock away the spider or whatever it might be. If it's a cat, you know, there's some cats out in the jungle, wild cats. You want to make yourself really big and make a loud sound, that kind of deal. To try to. A lot of these animals, they're wild, and you don't know if they have a disease or something. They have very sharp teeth and claws in some cases. So, yeah, the best situation is don't get into a fight with a wild animal. Make yourself look big and scary, and that will be probably better luck. So stay away from the spiders in the Gobi Desert. Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Hakano's class. Do you guys have one more question?
Yes. What is your job, and how do you earn enough money to do all these races?
Hey, so I'm really lucky. I get my work is something that I would do even if I didn't get paid. So I just love it so much. I work on a startup company, and we are a mentorship platform. So the website is called Dyad, DYAD.com, and we help young people set goals and then reach their goals, especially around getting scholarship to university. And so, for instance, if you are applying to university, we actually help you to get an offer and then get the money to pay for it because it's so expensive. And so that's the business. I helped start this when I was in business school 5 years ago, and that's how I end up. I earn a salary from this, and that's how I end up having the chance to travel and do some of these adventures. And so, my big advice to anyone thinking about what I want to do with my life, career-wise. Find something that you love to do so much that even if you were just volunteering your time, not being paid, it would still be something you'd want to do. And then if you get paid, it's amazing if you can make your life work that way too. So I wish you the best.
All right, great advice. It's always good to be doing something you love. Work shouldn't feel like work. That's for sure. I think we visited every classroom a second time. Give a wave at the camera if I'm mistaken. Mr. Flanagan's class? I've only been to you guys once. You being
third time.
Right. So one more question.
What tips would you give young athletes interested in making a career as an athlete?
Hey, big question. I think focus on your fundamentals. So I used to play baseball. I wanted to play professional. I wanted to be a pitcher in the major leagues. That said, I learned from that experience how to work on my fundamentals, like the little things that go into pitching really well. And that has served me extremely well in running, really well in my work life and business, well as a student, and all of this. It's been super helpful by focusing on those fundamentals. So not only does that make it more likely you become a professional, but even if your life takes you in a different direction, you're still much more likely to find satisfaction and fulfillment and success by doing so. So focus on your fundamentals, stretch, get a good diet, get good strength training. Don't be in too much of a hurry. I think being patient actually with your progress based on those fundamentals will get you much further. You'll stay away from injury, you'll stay away from distractions, and be more consistent in your progress. Good luck.
All right. Well, Greg, it's been great hanging out with you this morning. I guess, well, actually, it's this afternoon now for us, and it's getting well into a new day for you. So we're going to let you get back home, get some rest. I know your flight probably leaves sometime tomorrow.
It does, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with your final preparations. Again, thank you so much for staying up with us, for taking the begin in the field. I know you had to train a little differently with a little more weight in your rucksack, so thank you for that. We have many of these classrooms joining us today. Will be joining us again on the 22nd with you at the start line when you're actually going to start the race with us, which is pretty incredible. And then hopefully during the school day we can at least, well, I mean, I guess it just depends, but we'll at least do attempt a couple connections when you do hit some rest stops. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting to see how that works out. And for those classrooms who can't make it Friday, these will go to YouTube and you can watch them either later Friday or you can watch them Monday morning. And then I believe the 26th, Greg, we do this again at noon Eastern, and we'll hear all about the race and how it went and see how you're feeling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for organizing this and for each of you for attending. Tons of inspiration for me just having the chance to field your questions and connect here over the web. So really appreciate that. It's going to be great fuel for me as I go push through 100 kilometers. So thank you.
All right, before we log off, I'll turn the microphones on, and if the classrooms can be nice and loud, goodbye and thank you. I think that'll be a little inspiration to help push Greg along with the journey to come. So here we go, microphones coming on. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out today. Greg, get some rest, and we'll see you from the trail.
Awesome. Thank you.